Mm.
Okay. Okay, before we move on, any question? Any question for me? Yeah, we almost finished the semester, right? This week will be the 12th. And we have 1 month to go. That's all. All right, if you miss the assignment, please catch up. Okay. Yeah. All right, any question? Any question for me to respond to you guys? Okay. One more time. So if you see my comment about your field trip report, please do so by tomorrow, okay? I give you that chance. Other professor, they would not give you that chance, right? Okay. All right. So let's move on to number one. This week we talk about the Zen tradition. Okay, Louis and Milan, number one, what do you want to say, please?
So our question is describe the historical and development aspect of Zen in India. So Zen Buddhism start in 5th and 6th century in India as Malaya school that emphasize the meditation over like the regular scholar study. The Indian monk brought this Zen technique to China, a like the direct transmission from the teacher passed to the student. And the Zen within India, the Zen were influenced by Mahamaka philosophy and Yagakara teaching on the consciousness. And they develop a distinct meditation tradition within India. But eventually, Zen is disappear from India due to the declining of Buddhism, but it survived in East Asia, especially it take a firm root in China and later on the rest of the Southeast Asia country.
Okay. Milan, please.
To add on what he was saying, it's basically the exact same, but like what I want to add on was that in the early years, Zen was known as Chan Buddhism, and this was still like there was still some connection between Indian Buddhist text and this Buddhist practice. But over time, it was able to develop its own character and its own unique practices. Like this, like one, it was also able to develop based on Sanskrit, and like there's a lot of terms from Sanskrit that Zen Buddhism still uses, but has a different term. Like the term Danya in Sanskrit is different from the term Chan, and there's still historical roots in India because it originated in India, but it was mostly formulated in China.
So one more time. Who is the founder of Zen tradition?
So the Zen Buddhism, the founder is Mahayana school teaching within India, and then they start blossom from there.
About you, Milan?
Basically what he said, it started from the Mahayana school, and I think it started from, I don't know if it's the exact name, but is it like Sahaya Buddha or something? I'm not sure what the name was.
Anyone of you? Anyone want to respond? Who is the founder of Zen tradition then? Anyone? No? Sarah, you know? No? I'm so surprised.
Would
Maybe-
it be
Yes, Loy?
would it be Bodhihama? I don't know if I correct that name correctly.
Actually, it starts from the Buddha. A simple question, it's a tricky question too, right? Buddha attained enlightenment through his meditation, and he passed his teaching to his student, and the closest one is Makashipa, right? Okay, and this, yeah, if you study Buddhism, you should know this thing. Let me show you. Okay, here, let me share with you here. Is that from the legend, right? Okay, you see it here? Here, the Buddha hold the lotus sutra, lotus flower here. Who know the significant meaning of this or the story behind this? Anyone of you know this? No?
Was it from the wasn't there like a short story about from like the past reading response about this man named I forget his name, starts with a D, Devaz, who tried to kill the Buddha, and there was like a story with the lotus relating to him?
No, that's not that story. Anyone know, since from now on, if you see this statue, you need to recognize that story. Anyone is here?
Was it
Yes?
when he was born, and whenever he walked, there was lotus flowers under his feet?
No, that's not related to that one. Anyone, when you encounter Zen tradition, Zen meditation, you should know this story behind why he hold this lotus flower. No? I'm so surprised. You guys don't know? Okay, so let me tell you one more time the story. According to the Zen tradition, so one day, so the Buddha just hold that lotus flowers. But actually, these lotus flowers were offered by a heavenly kings. So when the Buddha hold these lotus flowers, and no one understand what's going on, no one understood what the Buddha meant when he hold that lotus flower, except Mahakashipa. He smiled, and at that moment, the Buddha say, "Well, I have the proper dharma. From now on, I transmit to Mahakashipa." It's pretty strange for you guys to understand what's mean, right? Let's say, yeah. So between you and your boyfriends or girlfriends, you guys know signal with each other, right? Whether the size, whether you hold your hand, any books or anything, only your girlfriend or boyfriend know what you mean. Is that right? No one else, not the third person. So in this case, the Buddha hold the lotus flowers. They represent the purity of the mind, or the Buddha nature. So Mahakashipa understood what the Buddha meant. That's why he smiled, and that's why later on the Buddha say, "I have this proper dharma that I want to transmit to Mahakashipa." So please, from now on, right? If you see that statue, right, you can relate to that story. All right, so thank you. Okay, number 2, please. Tessa and Gustavo, please. Number 2.
Our question was to describe the legend of Bodhidharma, the 28th Zen patriarch in India and the first Zen patriarch in China. And what Bodhidharma did was he brought Zen Buddhism to China. So he was born in India to like a royal family, like he was born a prince, but then he left the family to go become a monk. And then in his 20s, he traveled over to China, and that's when he brought Zen Buddhism over.
How did he bring Zen Buddhism to China?
Well, he met with that emperor, right? And then the emperor didn't like him very much because I think Bodhidharma gave him answers that he didn't really want to hear, right? And then I wasn't exactly sure what happened after that.
Okay. Okay, Ruth Tafel, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I want to go back and explain what a patriarch is because I didn't really understand when I read it. But it's basically someone who's responsible for kind of teaching the younger monks and younger students what they learn from their teachers, and he's kind of like a very respected spiritual leader in the religion.
So basically, he was a prince, right? Like the Buddha. So, but he let go of that princehood life to become Buddhist monk. And later on, his master said, you need to go to the East, that means China, to teach them. So when he first went there, he met an emperor, and the emperor brought himself and asked him, you know, I built so many temples, I print so many Buddhist books, and I support so many Buddhist monks and nuns. Do I get any merit from that? So if you were that monk, what should you respond? Tessa.
Bodhidharma said that he didn't get any merit
Why?
from it
Why is
because he was only doing it to get the merit rather than just because it was good.
That's a point. That's a point in Buddhism. When you have intention to do things so that you can get good result, good karma, right? That is not the good intention. When you help other people, if you help unconditionally, that is pure, or that is true help, right? That true love, right? And that true generosity. But when you help other people because that's violent times, because you want to get credit, because you want them to pay attention on you and so forth. So that's not pure intention. Understand? So that's what it's about. So later on, he knew that the emperor couldn't understand his teaching, so he went to Shaolin temple. Anyone of you watch Shaolin movie? Shaolin Kung Fu movie? Anyone of you here? No? Oh, okay. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you this short video clip. Okay, so that you can see. It's missed between the real story and the fictionary story. Okay, so here that's what they call Hui Ka. The first I will mute the sound because it's all in Chinese. You can see the let me see here. You can see the this subtitle. So this monk, so he bowed to Bodhidharma to seek for the teaching. He bowed when he was snowing. So according to legend, it said that he kneeled there for 3 days and night under the snow. Imagine yourself, you stay out in the snow for 1 hour, with 2 hours. How you feel? It's pretty cold, right? But he kneeled there for 3 days, 3 days and night to seek the teaching from this Bodhidharma. Okay, and I see here. That's how sincere people in the past was. Okay, one here. You can see here. According to the legend, he said that this monk somehow he create bad karma. Actually, this is many story that talk about this Bodhidharma. He sat for 9 years, and somehow his shadow imprint on the wall of the cave too. So according to legend, it said that he chopped up his hand to show his sincerity. It's so extreme, right? Okay, here. And if you have time, you can watch this part. So the group of bandits go into the temple to steal the money and the gold and so forth. So that's Bodhidharma. According to legend, you said that Bodhidharma, he taught Shaolin monk Kung Fu. After this type of action. And of course, for the common people, they think about that, but in the Zen tradition, there's no recall about the Bodhidharma taught Kung Fu for the Shaolin monk. Okay, so see that the miracle, right? He was shot, but now he came alive, right? Anyway, so these are the legend. Okay. All right, so let's move on then. Number 3, Sarah and Victoria, please. Number 3.
So for our question, it was describe the historical and developmental aspects of Zen in China. So for the historical part, it was traditionally dated back to the 5th century. It actually first came to the prominence in the early 18th century when Wu Hahu, who was seized power from the ruling of the Tang dynasty to become the empress of the short-lived Sui dynasty. That usually is between 1960 and 990 or 690 and 705.
Okay, Sarah, you want to add anything more?
Zen, like in the West, Zen is kind of known as a form of Buddhism. And there was a lot of transliterations that arose from it. Like, for example, the book mentions that the Japanese transliteration of the Chinese word Chan, which is the abbreviation of Chana, which turns from the transliteration of Sanskrit from Dhyana, meaning meditation. And there are several principles that go alongside Zen. Zen was originally regarded as something that was just, and according to the book, it was saying that it was over scholastic and quote quote stale. However, Zen defines itself through 4 principles. So basically, it's transmission outside the orthodox Buddhist teachings and lineages, meaning that Zen doesn't really rely on a doctrine, rather it focuses itself through action.
So this question talk about the Zen tradition in China, how it come about in China.
Oh, in China, how it came about?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I was not sure on that part
Yeah, you
because
read
I kind of
the
I apologize. What?
you read the wrong question, right? The question number 3. This is the historical aspect of Zen in China.
I do apologize on that one. So there was actually no. So originally there was a disciple known as Kashyapa, and he had traveled to southern China in 520 CE. And from there it was kind of spread throughout China.
Actually, according to legend, it start with Bodhidharma. Right, we just read the story, right? Like Victoria, are you there, Victoria?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you repeat one more time? Can you about the historical aspect of Zen in China?
Well, it was typically dated around the 15th century, but it actually first came out to the province in the early 18th century.
No, that's wrong. It starts with Bodhidharma. Right. That's why we have the Chan tradition, the Zen tradition in China. So of course, before him, there's some meditation master there, but officially, people recognize Bodhidharma in the 5th century. He went to China to spread Zen tradition. That started from him, right? And later on, he transmitted Dharma to Huayka, the one that chop up his hand. I just show, and later on, it's transmitted down to the 6th patriarch and so forth. Yeah, please read for us, okay? All right. So number 4, Zara, you and who else? Zara. Zara, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah.
You and
I think V. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Number 4.
Okay, so our question was describe the biography of Hu Ming, the 6th Zen patriarch in China.
Mm-hmm.
So he came from a humble family and worked as a firewood gatherer. And one day he overheard a recitation of Diamond Sutra at a marketplace. And then he became interested in it and decided to become a monk. And he traveled to the monastery of the fifth patriarch of Chan Buddhism and became the sixth patriarch. And his teachings mainly focus on recognizing one's own true nature.
Okay.
She covered up pretty much everything, but Bodhidharma is the first, and he founded the Zen Buddhism at the Shaolin monastery. And then Huineng was actually the sixth and the last member. He lost his father when he was 3 years old, and he has to sell wood to exchange for food for his sick mother. And after he seek the teachings from Bodhidharma, he was put into the kitchen instead of the Buddha hall. And there was a story where he was working so hard that he harmed himself, and his skin were like decayed, and there was a maggot inside, and it's actually dropped to the floor, and he picked it up and put it back. And despite Huineng was known to be uneducated because he did not went to school, he still received the robe and became the sixth member after he composed a verse that showed his unique strength.
So what you learn from this story then about the sixth patriarch? What's more important things about his teaching?
I learned that like people who like not everyone who like they don't like, even though they don't went to school, they still have some kind of like knowledge and understand of the teachings to still be great. It's like he doesn't went to school, but he's still very smart, and he composed a verse that doesn't require hard vocabulary, but he still show his understanding of it.
Okay, here. Let me share with you his image here. Okay, what's this here? His patriarch, right? Representation. Huineng, his body is still intact up to now for 1,000 years already. Since the I think 7th or 8th century up to now. His body is still there in Wanzhou. So anyway, Bodhidharma, he transmit the teaching to Huikha, the first line, and later on down to this monk, right, the Huineng Patriarch. So he came from the humble, from the background. So he carried the wood. I mean that he picked the wood and sold for a living to support his mom. So one day he overheard the lay person, the wealthy lay person, reciting the verse in the Diamond Sutra. So at that time, he was awakened, and he asked about that verse. And so this layman say, well, you're supposed to go to see the fifth patriarch. He will teach you more. So he gave up everything and went there. And even he was a slave person, but this fifth patriarch transmit the rope and bow to him. It symbolizes the transmission line, transmission dharma. So he even didn't have any education. That means he was educated, but he was uneducated, but he has the great wisdom to recognize his pure nature. From him, that's why we have the other 5 houses of Zen too. Okay, thank you. All right, so Angela and Sydney, number 5, please.
So our question was describe the five houses of Chinese Zen. So one of the houses is the Guiyang school, which emphasizes the integration of Zen practices with everyday life and the importance of ethical conduct. Next, there's the Linji school, which is known for its Quan practices, and it had an abrupt, direct style of teaching. It also emphasized enlightenment experiences and had a shock method of teaching students to show their true nature. And third, we have the Caodong school, or the Caodong house, which has an emphasis on silent illumination and seated meditation as a means to enlightenment. And it's known as a more calm and contemplative approach with emphasis on gradual enlightenment, as well as the integration of Zen practices into daily life.
Okay, thank you. Sydney, you want to add anything more?
Yeah. Another school is called the Fayan School, or the Fayan House. It was founded by Fayan Wenyi, and this emphasizes the Koyan practice and the Dharma combat. It's traditionally known for its elegant and literary style. He was known as the most influential Chan teacher, or one of the most influential Chan teachers at the end of the Tang Dynasty. The Fayan House was one of the last of the 5 houses to be established, and it was after the 9th generation after the Hui Ning school. And then another house is the Yunmen House, which was named after Yunmen Wenyan. He was said to be highly intelligent as a child, and he could learn Buddhist scriptures after a single reading. He studied monastic rule literature in Zhejiang and taught monks and lay disciples. And the Yunmen House thrived early in the Song Dynasty and had a major influence on the upper classes. The school was absorbed into the Lingji school after the Song Dynasty, though.
Okay, thank you. So these are the charts of the 5 houses. The Guiyang, this is the first one, Linji, Caodong, Yumen, and Payan. So the most popular one is Linji, still survive up to now. The rest disappear. All right, so thank you. Number 6, Alan and Mitchell, please.
So number 6 was describe Zen approaches to meditation. And Zen meditation focuses on posture. So it's correct to maintain open shoulders and upright spine, crossed legs, eyes half open and on the ground. And in Zen meditation, you follow your own breath and you slowly count your inhalation and exhalation. If a thought ever comes to mind, don't follow the thoughts, just go right back to focusing on breathing. And in Zen tradition, when counting your breaths, when the meditator reaches 10, they abandon the count and return back to 0 in order to focus their mind on counting. And the Zen masters call this meditation quiet sitting.
Okay, Mitchell, you want to add anything more?
Zen meditation is pretty similar to what you would consider normal meditation, but it tends to go a little bit deeper than relaxation and stress relief. It tends to try and answer deep-rooted issues that most people won't have the answer to just in their day-to-day life. And it's really good for building up mindfulness.
So what is different between Zen and meditation then?
From what I can tell, it seems more extreme in terms of what it's trying to do. Because that's what I gathered.
Alan, you know the difference between Zen and meditation?
I think Zen, you kind of just develop more insight into like the nature of body and mind.
Okay, how about meditation? Anyone know? I want to know the difference between Zen and meditation. That's a basic question. Yeah, I wish that I have multiple choice question for you guys. But I don't want to give you the stress, but it's basic question. What's the difference then? Anyone? Okay. So like Mitchell, he mentioned recently, right? Zen is more in depth to recognize your own pure nature. When you talk about meditation in general, right? Especially in the West, it's just talk about how to calm the mind, how to release stress, anxiety, and that's all. That's a bit different. Okay. All right. Thank you. Kai, number 7, please. You and who else?
My question's 7. Describe the historical and developmental aspects of Zen in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Zen tradition entered into Vietnam in 580. An Indian monk whose name Vinitarusi and a Chinese monk whose name Wu Yangtong brought Zen Buddhism to Vietnam. Especially in the Trong dynasty, King Trong Nhân Tông established a Zen school at Intermountain. It is called Trúc Lâm. Recently, a Vietnamese monk named Thích Nhất Hạnh, he established Làng Mai village as a place of practicing meditation in France. According to Thích Nhất Hạnh, Zen is not depend upon sitting. People can practice Zen through walking, eating, drinking, or anything they are doing. Because Zen also means put our mind into what we are doing. It is a way to have a deep realization of reality. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone? I remember that one of you, right? Your friends, right? Hi. Anyone? Ian, right?
Yeah, I also did it.
Yeah, go ahead. You can add anything?
So there's similar to Emperor Ashoka in bringing Buddhism throughout the empire. There was a king named King Tran Tai Tong, and he was a devoted Buddhist, and he supported the development of many Zen temples in Vietnam, promoting like the Zen practice as well. So Buddhism or Zen Buddhism and Zen was brought to Vietnam through Chinese Buddhist monks. A few examples of that would be, like I said, Tang Hoi and Venerable Kien Hui, known as Tech Hen in Vietnamese. So, with a few of those, they were able to start building centers in Vietnam and have temples. It was similar to Ashoka developing Buddhism. You had leaders that were developing Zen in Vietnam, and they also had experienced teachers, which also helps to produce better students, more students who can become teachers.
Yeah, basically Buddhism spread from India to Vietnam through the sea, to the ocean during the 2nd and 3rd century. Later on, because Buddhism in India died out, so there was no more Indian monk coming to Vietnam. That's why starting from 10th, 11th century, Chinese monk came down in Vietnam to teach, to spread Buddhism too. All right, so number 8, Joma and Nia, please.
Okay, our question is describe the historical and developmental aspects of Zen in Korea. And basically what I got is Buddhism was introduced to Korea in 372 CE during the Kingdom period. And it was basically a blend of meditation, doctrine, and influential masters' teachings.
Okay, all right, next one, please.
Yeah, I saw that obviously Buddhism was kind of already in Korea, but then when Zen Buddhism came, it did come from China. a name that came up was Monk Pomnang, and he had studied in China. And then he came to Korea and kind of started spreading it that way. And then eventually they built monasteries, they built schools. Like something that kept coming up was the 9 mountain schools. And yeah, apparently they said that they had very strict ways of following Zen Buddhism, like you had to be a part of the monastery, but that regardless of that, it still became very popular.
So officially, historically, so when did Zen Buddhism spread to Korea?
I found that like the late 7th or early 8th century, it says 632 CE around there.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Number 9, Holden and Ryan, please.
Okay. So the concept of Zen was first introduced to Japan around 653 to like 656 CE. And the early phase of its introduction was labeled syncretic because of Chan teachings and practices were initially combined with other practices of Buddhism, which were also from Mahayana. They were Tendai and Shingon. And they both emphasize a different sort of like method of the pursuit of Buddhism. Tendai was more focused on the Lotus Sutra, and Shingon focused more on like attaining Buddhahood within your own body through like practices of like mudras, mantras, and mandalas. Yeah.
Okay. Holden, please. Can I hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So basically, Zen Buddhism was introduced to Japan around 6th century through the Silk Road, and I read that a delegation was sent from Korea. Korean prince sent a delegation to Japan, and basically when they got to the emperor's court in Japan, they had sutras with them, an image of the Buddha, and that kind of was the first instance. That's one story I read, and also how it's developed is it really flourished in Japan because Japan already had a religion, Shintoism, which is really based on nature spirits and things like that. And the calmness of that philosophy that they already had really fused together well with Zen Buddhism, and so it kind of evolved. It kind of helped it evolve. And even today, if you go to Japan, like no one is one or the other. They're kind of like mix well, and it really mixes well with the religion they already had.
And later on, the monk Dogen and Elsai, they brought the Kowdong and Linchi to Japan and become Rinzai and Soto. They still survive up to now during the modern age. All right, so thank you, Aaron, and you have number 10.
So in comparison to other denominations of Buddhism, like Theravada, who prioritized tradition, Zen Buddhism and its focus on the mind, the body, and like meditation specifically, directly appealed to the West, and it appeals to America with a like do it from the comfort of your own home kind of method. During the 20th century, Japanese missionaries had brought down Zen Buddhism, specifically the figure D.T. Suzuki, who is considered a very important figure in the progression of Zen Buddhism into the West. I found it really interesting, but there were American counterculture figures such as like Alan Watts, who prioritized Zen Buddhism by taking these very like Eastern traditions and concepts and westernizing them to make them more digestible for the American public. And as time went by, I think it's pronounced zazen, but it's a specific way of like sitting down while you're meditating. Focuses on pure meditational practices and all this stuff, allowed for further popularization of Zen Buddhism in America, as it reached a point where most, if not all, cultural elements of Zen Buddhism were essentially kind of like removed, and it was transformed into this almost like non-religious practice of mindfulness. And even individuals in the American medical and psychological field were able to kind of catch on to the practices of Zen Buddhism, incorporating it into like therapy sessions and whatnot. But yeah.
Now what you call mindfulness-based therapies, the third ways, it was influenced by Zen tradition and also the Vipassana tradition too. Thank you. Number 11, Angel and Anne, please.
Is to describe Linji, the Chinese founder. Linji said, he believes that just like Maju, that you can't progress to enlightenment through meditation. Instead, he championed a confrontational directness in teaching and criticized quiet sitting. He taught the value of sudden realization built upon the faith in one's own Buddha nature.
Okay. Angel, you want to ask me? Angel, you want to add anything more? He's there, Anne. Okay, thank you. So let's move on then. Andy and Dante, please, number 12.
Yeah, so our question was provide a biograph of the Chinese Guiyang school founder, Gaishan Lingyu and Yangsun Yuji. So Gaishu Lingyu was born 1771 in China, and was ordained to become a Buddhist monk at a young age and dedicated his life to studying the Zen Buddhism. He was known for his deep meditation practice and profound teaching. His teaching emphasized the importance of silent meditation and direct experience as a means of attaining enlightenment. He was a strong advocate for the idea of enlightenment could realize in everyday life. One of the most famous disciple was Yang Shi Hiji, who's my partner will elaborate more on.
Okay.
Yeah, and he is basically the disciple of Lingyu, and he took over the house, and the school is named after them.
That's all.
That's all the information I could find on this disciple.
Okay. Let me share with you good quick, okay? Good quick, you see that this is the meditation section here. So the monk walk around and watch the other monks who were doing meditation. And he used, he used the stick. And move back here, sorry. Sometimes they use the stick to hit the shoulder of the monk to wake him up in the Zen section there. Okay, all right, there's no more. Number 13, please. Sorry, number 14, Britton and Derek, number 14.
So our question was, describe Dongshan Lianji, a founder of the Kandong sect in China. And what I found about him was that he was like a prominent Chinese Chan Buddhist monk and one of the key figures in the development of Chan Buddhism during the Tang Dynasty. And he was renowned as one of the founders of the Kandong sect in Chan Buddhism, which is also like the Japanese like Soto sect. Dongshan's teachings and practices have had like a long-lasting effect on like the Zen Buddhism in both China and Japan. So he was prominent there mainly in China, and he had also like an impact on Japan as well.
Okay. Next one.
Many of the stories that about Dongshan relate to recognizing, exploring, and expressing reality, or the suchness. It's known as Tathata, I think is how you say it. It's described in Indian Buddhism as the ultimate truth, and it's in the classic Buddhist teaching. It's an important touchstone in the material relating to Dongshan.
So remember, the Zen tradition is uppercase, the practice more than learning the sutra. And that's why it say that transmit the Dhamma from mind to mind, what we call Dhamma shield, from mind to mind, not rely upon the scripture. Yeah, number 16. Austin and me, please.
Our question was describe Zen teachings and its narratives. And Zen is the devotion to meditation, and it's really characterized by its simplicity, directness, and focus on the practice of meditation. One of the main practices in Zen is Zazen, which is seated meditation, and that focuses on observing thoughts without attachment. And I think that overall the teachings of Zen are to encourage like a shift in consciousness and help people have a more profound awareness of themselves and like their existence.
Okay. Me, you want to say?
So I just want to like reiterate and summarize what he said. Different from other types of form of Buddhism, Zen focuses on self-awareness and meditation more than anything. This means that like it teaches its followers to a sense of non-attachment and permanence, which is like kind of like accepting that there's always going to be a change. And Zen has a narrative that anyone can reach their enlightenment, but this is up to like their consciousness. And this is like different from other forms of Buddhism because with consciousness, it's not like doing good deeds or like studying the sutra and stuff like that. It's more of like in your own mind and being free from the attachments that you have.
Can you give one example?
No.
No. Austin, can you help her? Give one example. When you do meditation, you let go of attachment and so forth. How, Austin?
I have to think about that one.
Okay. Okay. V, can you help? How can you do meditation? How can you let go of attachment to the food and so forth, so that your mind can be free? Anyone? Yes, Gemma, please.
Can you just repeat the question for me very quickly?
The question is that when you do meditation, how could you let go of your mind of attachment to the food, to the drink, to your conversation, or to the internal rumination of scripture and so forth?
Well, in meditation, you focus on your breath and it brings your awareness into the present moment. And a lot of times when we are thinking about like food and hunger and thirst, we're obviously trying to get those needs met in preparation like for the future. Like you need to eat for the future and drink for the future. But maybe through meditation, it'll just focus on like one moment at a time, which is much easier to, I guess, surpass those urges one moment at a time as opposed to the full future. So
Yeah,
maybe that's
you were there, right, during my presentation, right? Remember, right, Jesse? Remember how could you live with the present moment? How could you let go of past and future thought and focus your present moment?
Are you asking me?
How? Yeah.
By practicing compassion and letting go.
Just remind yourself, just remind yourself that you just refocus your mind on the breath, or even when you walk around the campus, right? You just focus on every step you walk. It's enjoyable. You will release a lot of stress. I love thinking about what you're going to do for the next class and what's going to do for the next test even. Because if you think so much about them, you be confused. You have a lot of distraction. But if you just let them go and focus on whatever you're doing in the present moment, you can enjoy your life more than those kind of thinking. All right, you are the last one, Jesse. Oh, Jesse, and who else? Jesse. You have your partner, right, Jesse? Number 18, go ahead, Jesse.
So we have number 18 is describe Zen in the arts of drinking tea, making the sand garden, and etc. So the practice of drinking tea, it was always like an ancient practice in China, but once conversations happened between Zen monks and nobility in Japan, it kind of merged in the 15th century. And that's when the preparation, serving, and the actual drinking of the tea combined the aesthetics with like the meditative calm. And there are like 4 principles within the Zen practice of drinking tea. It's harmony, reverence, purity, and tranquility. And it all contributes to like it being basically a meditative practice. And it really plays on the idea that such a small, like mundane act can really help somebody in their spiritual journey.
Okay. Thank you. Jesse, want to add more?
And the making of sand gardens, they're also known as like Japanese rock gardens. They are there to promote like thought, suggestive of religion or cosmetic themes. So the Zen gardens, the placement of the rocks, sand, and plants is not just meant to be it's not meant to be a literal representation of landscape, but it's there for people to capture the essence of nature, its tranquility, harmony, and balance. So everything, although it's man-made, everything was made for people to have like a deep appreciation for nature. And yeah. And then there is a known designer for Zen Garden, which his name was Muso, and he was known for his breathtaking designing gardens and yeah.
Who been at the Zen garden before? Anyone of you? No. Oh, how was that, Brin? Where was that? Where did you go?
It was a long time ago and I don't remember exactly where it was, but I remember they had like a mini one at like a museum I went to one time.
Where?
And we got to hear a little bit of it at the time it was somewhere in Houston. I don't know if the museum still has it.
Yeah.
But I remember going on a field trip and it was cool to see.
Yeah, I performed a wedding ceremony at a Zen garden in LA, in Los Angeles, many years ago. Yeah, here the what do you call this Zen Sand Garden here, right here, and even they have the mini one too, right? So this is concerned about living with the nature, not with the art, with the nature. Okay, so question, Andrea, you mentioned about the tea, right? What's the purpose of drinking tea? Andrea, well, before doing meditation, what's the purpose?
From what I understood, like centering yourself and your body and like just preparing you for meditation.
Jesse, you know that? No. So drinking tea just wake them up instead of falling asleep. because there's two main obstruction when you do meditation, sleepiness and rumination. That means you have to deal with all kind of thoughts. So if your body and mind is so tired, you may fall asleep easily. That's why it's recommendable that you need to drink some kind of tea to keep you being awake. Okay. All right. So thank you. We have Angel. You want to respond to number 11, Angel?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to add on a little bit of the biography. So the question was, describe Linji, the Chinese founder of the Linji sect in China. So according to what I found, Linji was born in Kaozhou. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He studied Buddhism, and he left at a young age. He left his home at a young age to study with the Chan master Hangbo Xiyun. And when he returned after his enlightenment, he returned to the Linji temple in Hebei, and that is where he got his name from, Linjin.
What's special about his teaching technique?
He set up the Linjin form of Chan.
Yes. What else? What else? Yeah. Remember, his set still survive up to now because it's so popular. Anyone know what's his techniques? And you know what's Linji technique to what Linji teaching techniques? So he shout, yell, and even hit his student, not in the hatred way, but in the compassionate way. Like I just show you, right? The monk walking around, and if they see any monk falling asleep, they will give the stick. They will take a stick and hit their shoulder to wake them up. Right. All right. So Huang, you want to say anything about number 6, Huang, before we go?
No, I don't have anything to say.
No. Okay. Gustavo, you spoke already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do I miss anyone else? Okay. All right. So that's all. That's all for today. And the one that I call you, please stay back, okay? So that I can talk with you guys about your writing. And please, one more time, if you see my comment for your future report, please submit by tomorrow. All right, midnight tomorrow, so that you can get the credits. Okay. All right. So see you next Tuesday then. Anyone
Who are
of
the
you go
ones?
to vote?
Who are the ones that you need, Professor?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you stay back, yeah, just stay back if you want to ask. Okay. And the one that call your name, please stay back. Okay. The rest I can see you then. See you next Tuesday. Thank you.